Good afternoon, or proper greetings of the day whenever you get here. But this is going to be our rendition of the Exodus. I'm going to do my best to not read slow, but to read and do a breakdown as I go. Uh, as we get closer to the end of this month and work our way through March, and at the end of March, in the middle of April, will be the end of my 500-day count. Not that that's supposed to be the end of anything. That was my example of time and what I guessed. Now we'll see what happens in the middle of April. Having said that, I want to do my best to read to you all the remaining of the five books again, or do the full overview that I was supposed to have done, and I'm just not getting around to doing it. And these are not easy to do. None of this work that I do is, in particular, is very simple. It's taxing in its own ways. It takes a great deal of confidence and willpower. But here we go. We're going to start in the first verse of chapter 1 of the Exodus. And just in case anyone doesn't remember, we did a review of the Genesis like almost 3 months ago. Here we are now. These are the names of the sons of Israel that came into Egypt together with Jacob, their father. Now, real quick, the scripture interchangeably speaks on Israel and Jacob because the people are going to be known as Israelites, not Jacobites. So there's a reason why they do that. Now let's keep reading. They came in each with their whole family: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judas, Issachar, Zabulon, Benjamin, Dan, and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. But Joseph was in Egypt, and all the souls born and all the souls born of Jacob were 75. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of Israel increased and multiplied, and became numerous, and grew exceedingly strong, and the land multiplied them. So, however long this all takes, they become like a nation of people, pretty much. And there rose up another king over Egypt, who knew not Joseph. And he said to his nation, this is the guy who takes over Egypt, behold, the race of the children of Israel is a great multitude and is stronger than we. Come, let us deal craftily with them, lest at any time they be increased, and whensoever war shall happen to us, these also shall be added to our enemies. And having prevailed against us in war, they will depart out of the land. So another quick little breakdown. What happened right there is the brand new ruler, and you could say they don't know Joseph, or you could just say that they don't understand the importance of Joseph. Whichever one is just fine. Because the Egyptians, just in case y'all didn't remember, Joseph enslaved the Egyptians so that way, and he got all their land and everything from them, right? And it became pretty much under the power of Pharaoh. And the deal was, you keep four parts of whatever you produce, and you give us 1/5. And this is a law that's in the land of Egypt, the real Egypt to this day. Follow me. This individual doesn't understand the reason why you have everything you have is because of these people. They get it, but they don't get it. So dude is tripping. Let's go ahead and keep reading. And notice, it says the race of the children of Israel. Right. Meaning, even if he's related to another man, those people that become their own people are their own race because they have their own way of life that they live. So whenever people talk about race was created by the so-called white man, whatever word is not in English that is dictate in the actual language of Latin or the Greek language, Greek Latinus, the indication is that the closest word that they could bring to it is race. Here we go. And he set over them taskmasters who should afflict them in their works, who should afflict them in their works. And they built strong cities for Pharaoh, both Pithom and Ramses, and On, which is Heliopolis. But as they humbled them by so much, they multiplied and grew exceedingly strong. And the Egyptians greatly abhorred the children of Israel. Stop right there. Best part about all this is that we know that On or On, right, is also the name of one of their deities, who is, what's the word I'm looking for? Much later in the scripture, I can't think if it's in Jeremiah or wherever it's at, but it's way back. And it says that the men of Judah shall no longer go up and swear upon the house of On, the same house that they built. Right. This wasn't there in the days of Joseph. I'm trying to break it down to y'all and give y'all my understanding of what I see, what I understand. Because On is some sort of deity, and uh the same, I can't think of the man's name right now, but the same individual who took Joseph in and actually bought Joseph was a priest of his, and the same man allowed Joseph to marry one of his daughters. Just throwing that out there. Let's just keep reading. But as they humbled them, by so much they multiplied and grew exceedingly strong. And the Egyptians greatly abhorred the children of Israel. And the Egyptians tyrannized over the children of Israel by force, and they embittered their life by hard labors in the clay and in brickmaking and all the works in the plains, according to all the works wherein they caused them to serve with violence. Now, another indication, I'm not sure if the Egyptians forced their own people to serve with violence. But this is another reason why the Most High God had to distinguish his people, because he's like, look, whether y'all think y'all are the same as these Egyptians, they don't treat you the same. They treat you like dirt. And there may have been Egyptians that got treated like dirt in the midst of all this, either, an Egyptian man or Egyptian woman married to a child of Israel. But that's by and large not most Egyptians. You follow what I'm saying? So even when you put it in your mind like that, you still have to stand back and say, okay, why would it tell us that they tyrannized over them? Unless it was something obviously terrible. And this is an indication that Joseph was not tyrannical over the Egyptians. Because that would have been the gripe. Remember, this guy didn't even know who Joseph was. Okay? See, this is why we got to break it down, Barney style, as they say in the Marine Corps. Here we go. And the Egyptians tyrannized over the children of Israel by force, and they embittered their life by hard labors, and in clay, and in brickmaking, and all the works in the plains, according to all the works wherein they caused them to serve with violence. And the king of the Egyptians spoke to the midwives of the Hebrews, not the children of Israel, the Hebrews, because there's a certain genealogy that these people come from that is distinctly different. Okay. The name of one was Sephora, and the name of the second, Phua. And he said, when ye do the office of the midwives to the Hebrew women, and they are about to be delivered, if it be a male, kill it. But if a female, save it. But the midwives feared God and did not as the king of Egypt appointed them. And they saved the male children. And the king of Egypt called the midwives and said to them, why is it that ye have done this thing and saved the male children alive? And the midwife said to Pharaoh, the Hebrew women are not as the women of Egypt, for they are delivered before midwives go into them. So they bore the children. So they bore children. And God did well to the midwives, and the people multiplied and grew very strong. And as the midwives feared God, they established for themselves families. And Pharaoh charged all of his people, saying, whatever male child shall be born to the Hebrews, cast into the river, and every female save it alive. Once again, now let's just break down why he's trying to kill the men, save the women. It's because your genome, who you are, is carried. We're not the seed of the serpent. We're actual real people. I'm breaking this down. This is deep now, right? Now we got to go back to that lesson I did not too long ago with the seed of the serpent, right? And zygosity and things like that. If they were the seed of the serpent, saving the women would be pointless. Want to know why? Because homozygosity is determined by what? The woman in a reptile or a reptiloid species. Right. But in an actual person, an actual people, the homozygosity, i.e., the genome that dictates your sex from being male or female, is dictated by the man. So this is all uh, 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 genealogy warfare. It's not just about, oh, I want to save the women because I want to sleep with them. It's like, no, whoever they go and have children with now, be it that it's a man, now their children are going to be whoever that man is. They'll be sort of what she is, but they're going to be that man indefinitely. Right. Verse 1 of chapter 2. And there was a certain man of the tribe of Levi who took to wife one of the daughters of Levi, and she conceived and bore a male child. And having seen that he was fair, they hid him 3 months. And when they could no longer hide him, his mother took for him an ark and besmeared it with bitumen or vegetable pitch, and cast the child into it, and put it in the ooze by the river. And his sister was watching from a distance to learn what would happen to him. And his being the man's sister, the man, of Levi, not his actual sister, because Moses' sister is younger than him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to the river to bathe. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to the river to bathe. Give me one moment. Amen. And her maids walked by the riverside. And having seen the ark and the ooze, she sent her maid and took it up. Now, one thing I really want to point out to y'all is that if the daughter of Pharaoh, who was the strongest person in Egypt, has to go to the river to bathe, that means that they weren't using running water. There was no aqueduct in Egypt. I brought that up only because King Hezekiah, would build an aqueduct and put one in Israel. Just throwing that out there. An aqueduct means that there's plumbing, my friends, some form of it. Or it means that there's a possibility of it, I should say, excuse me. And having opened it, verse 6, she sees the babe weeping in the ark. And the daughter of Pharaoh had compassion on it and said, this is one of the Hebrews' children. And his sister said to the daughter of Pharaoh, wilt thou that I call to thee a nurse of the Hebrews, and shall she suckle the child for thee? And the daughter of Pharaoh said, go. Stop right there. So the sister of Moses' father, well, that's not actually his real name. That's the name that she gave him. He had another name, but we'll get to that in a moment. The sister of Moses, I mean, not the sister of Moses, the sister of Moses' father, Moses' auntie, works or worked in the palace, apparently. And not just that, but note, they can't tell it's a child of Israel, but she knows it's a Hebrew. Now, I can deduce several things, but the easiest thing to deduce is that the Egyptians did not practice circumcision. He was a little boy. That's why he was easy to distinguish. Because what? He was already circumcised because his people practiced those ways. Now, for anybody who's like, well, how do you know that the Egyptians didn't practice circumcision? Because if they did, everyone would have been circumcised when the people left Egypt. There wouldn't have never been a hill of foreskins with Joshua. Just throwing that out there. Now, here we go. We're at verse 8 in the middle of it. And the young woman went and called the mother of the child. And the daughter of Pharaoh said to her, take care of this child and suckle it for me, and I will give thee wages. And the woman took the child and suckled it. Okay, got to break that part down. So this man's mother got paid to raise him. Once again, now you could say that they were shysters and schemers and this, that, and the other. That was the move. That's the move. They were going to kill him anyway. They wanted to kill all the Hebrew children anyway. Not just the children of Israel, all Hebrews, Syrians, Ammonites, Moabites, Idumeans, Edomites, Ishmaelites, right? Anybody that you can consider a Hebrew, right? A pastor over the river Euphrates, or their ultimate genealogy goes back to Eber, whichever one you want to say is fine with me. Now, having said that, we're at verse 9. And the daughter of Pharaoh said to her, take care of this child and suckle it for me, and I will give thee wages. And the woman took the child and suckled it. So his mother got paid to raise him. And when the boy was grown up and brought him to the daughter of Pharaoh, and he became her son. Stop right here. This is deep. And she called his name Moses, saying, I took him out of the water. Stop right there. Moses is not his real name. Okay. He has another name that his actual family knew him by. He went by Moses because guess what? He grew up in the palace. And that's the name that the daughter of Pharaoh gave him. And it says just like that. She called his name Moses, saying, I took him out of the water. That's what his name means. Moses means taken out of the water. For all the smart people out there that want to say all the things that they like to say, that's what it means. It's literally written right there for you. Let's keep reading. Verse 11. And it came to pass in that length of time that Moses, having grown, went out to his brethren, the sons of Israel. Now, how did he know that he was a child of Israel? Unless his parents told him that, unless he was raised. When his mother suckled him and raised him, his mother showed him who he was. We have to not assume that, but that's presumptuous based on what's written next. And having noticed their distress, he sees an Egyptian smiting a certain Hebrew of his brethren of the children of Israel. Stop right there. So it dictates to us that Hebrews are not only Israel, are not just Israelites, are not just children of Israel. What does it say right here? Let me read that again. He sees an Egyptian smiting a certain Hebrew of his brethren, the children of Israel. So that's a clear indication that there are different types of Hebrews in Egypt. I bet you the one way that they're all distinguishable, though, from these Egyptians. Number one, they're not grown men running around wearing makeup. And number two, how they're dressed. So even if Egyptians grew afros and beards, if they shave it off all the time and they pull their hair back and they force themselves to look different from you, you're going to be easily distinguishable. Hello, sister. All is well, and I'm glad you could catch me right now. I'm just going through my. I always speak as if there's somebody listening. Right on. So I'm just going through my, not my emotions, but I'm going through the process, the necessary process to deliver the point that I'm trying to deliver. Now here we go. And having looked round this way and that way, he sees no one. And he smote the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. And having gone out the second day, he sees two Hebrew men fighting. And he says to the injurer, the guy who's winning the fight, wherefore smitest thou thy neighbor? No, his neighbor, oh, we're going to get deep. Oh, we're about to get deep real quick. Right? When it says love thy neighbor, is his neighbor, is the neighbor of this Hebrew a Gentile? Or is his neighbor another Hebrew? Let's go ahead and talk about it. Okay, then. Right. These are the bases for the commandments. Things that are happening that have happened before the Exodus and things that are happening before he takes the people out of the land. Be mindful of it. What does he say? Wherefore smitest thou thy neighbor? And he said, who made thee a ruler and a judge over us? Wilt thou slay me as thou yesterday slewest the Egyptian? Then Moses was alarmed and said, if it be thus, this matter has become known. And Pharaoh heard this matter and sought to slay Moses. Okay. If Moses was a real Egyptian, why would Pharaoh care? He's not. He's clearly a children of the Hebrews. Right. See, one of the things that most people will not readily accept is that at a certain point, what you believe to be Gentiles, okay, because most of you were taught that only pig-skinned individuals are Gentiles. Once again, that's not true. Individuals with, brown skin like mine, people darker and lighter than me, who look a difference. Some have more facial hair constitution, hair almost up to their damn eyes. Some of them have clearly way less, okay? Everything in between. Gentiles. Right. Individuals that I say what? Came about the recesses of the planet and the recesses of the mountains. Anyway, let's keep reading. And Moses departed from the presence of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Madian. Madian is one of the children of Ishmael. The Ishmaelites are Hebrews. And having come into the land of Madian, he sat on the well. And the priest of Madian had 7 daughters, feeding the flock of their father Jathar. And they came and drew water until they filled their pitchers to water the flock of their father Jathar. And the shepherds came and were driving them away. And Moses rose up and rescued them and drew water for them and watered their sheep. And they came to Raguel, their father. And he said to them, why have ye come so quickly today? Okay, let's break a couple things down. Does it tell us what the race of men are who are the shepherds? No. It could have easily been Midianites because they're not. Ishmael is only half Egyptian. Right. But Ishmaelites are only Hebrews to the Egyptians still. And guess what? If you're a shepherd, you're an abomination to the Egyptians. Yes. So these could be anybody. Those shepherds could have been it could have been anybody. But the fact that it doesn't dictate that they were Hebrews, and it doesn't tell us that they were once again, the Egyptians are not shepherds. They don't believe in that. So they don't have to tell us that they're Hebrews here. The automatic knowledge, if you read the book and understand that Midian is the son of Ishmael, then you understand that these are still people who are, even if they're only a third or a quarter of the blood, they're still considered to be children of Abraham, for better or for worse. Now let's keep reading. And obviously, the father Raguel is like, there's no way that my daughter's finished his work so early, right? That's why he asked them, how'd you guys finish so quickly? Now let's keep reading, excuse me. And they said, an Egyptian delivered us from the shepherds and drew water for us and watered our sheep. Stop right there. This is deep. Moses' regular attire said that he was an Egyptian. The only reason why the people of Egypt knew that he was not Egyptian, because he was raised with a Hebrew woman who was his mother. Deep. I know it doesn't seem deep, but that's deep. These are individuals who are way more Egyptian by blood than he'll ever be. And right. People forget Ishmael's mother is Egyptian. Ishmael went to Egypt to get him a wife. Ishmael's mother went to Egypt to get a wife for her son. Excuse me. It's only right that a woman go get a woman that looks, it's only right that a mother finds a woman that is like her to marry her son. That just makes the most sense. Now let's keep reading. And he said to his daughters, where is he? And why have ye left the man? Call him therefore that he may eat bread. And Moses was established with the man, and he gave Sephora, his daughter, to Moses to wife. And the woman conceived and bore a son. And Moses called his name Gershom, or Gershom, saying, I am a sojourner in a strange land. And in those days, after a length of time, the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel groaned because of their task, and cried. And their cry because of their task went up to God. And God heard their groanings. And God remembered his covenant with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. And God looked upon the children of Israel and was made known to them. Stop right there. Again, several major important things. Number one, Moses is calling himself a stranger in a strange land, even though technically you're a stranger you were a stranger in Egypt. But he felt at home in Egypt. Because he was raised there. He had to go to a whole nother place right. So he's a stranger in a strange land. His son's name literally means stranger in a strange land. Okay, then. And it tells us that Pharaoh dies and that the groaning of the children of Israel is their cries go up to God because whatever they're going through is terrible. See, it's not like here in America, you understand, where it's the land of good and plenty even right now still. And they're not being forced to work. They're not being forced. There's too many homeless people to say that they're being forced to work. Right. You think any of the children of Israel were actually allowed to be beggars? We get your black ass to work, nigga. Before we hit you with this whip, let me stop. That's what it is. Now let me read. Verse 1 of chapter 3. And Moses was feeding the flock of Jathor, his father-in-law, the priest of Madian, and he brought the sheep nigh to the wilderness and came to Mount Koreb, or Choreb, but I'm going to say Koreb. And an angel, not the angel, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in the flaming fire, or fire of flame, out of the bush. And he sees that the bush burns with fire, but the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will go near and see this great sight, why the bush is not consumed. So when people make all these jokes about, oh, the burning bush is marijuana, well, marijuana is consumed if you smoke it. This is literally a plant that was on fire that no smoke was coming from, and it was burning and it was not withering away. Let's keep reading. And when the Lord saw that he drew nigh to see, the Lord called him out of the bush, saying, Moses, Moses. And he said, Moses, what is it? And he said, draw not nigh hither. So don't get any closer. Don't come any closer. Loose thy sandals from off thy feet. For the place whereon thou standest is holy ground. And he said, first off, your sandals would be dirty, right? Your sandals have all kind of filth on them. There will be, the Most High God is clean. Once again, they say, what is next to godliness? Cleanliness. Okay, then. Right. Holy ground is what? If you're holy, you are godly. Right. So the ground that he's standing on is a godly type of ground. Take your shoes off, Playboy, because your shoes are dirty. The bottom of the soles of those sandals are much dirtier than his feet that have been standing on the sandals. Believe that. We're just talking about a matter of hygiene, being clean, and we don't know what you've been stepping in. And you're not going to bring none of that filth any closer to me. And the Most High God is so. Once again, the Most High God has ways of saying things without ever having to say all that to you. And he said, verse 6, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses turned away his face, for he was afraid to gaze at God. The Most High God came in the form of a flame and a fire, not burning the bush. This is why we know that this is a whole other type of different flame. It's on fire, not burning anything around it. Do y'all understand the level of spectra frequency that goes with that? Anyway, I can talk about it real quick, but I can't get carried away with it. The frequency that it would take to be, obviously fire has a frequency and it has a spectra. The idea that that frequency and spectra is occupying the same place at the same time as something else and not destroying it, because they tell us that two things cannot exist in the same place. Right. They tell us that there's only enough room for one. But the Most High God, he is so powerful. Clearly, he's all powerful. He has the ability to control the frequency of the flame that it contours itself around the bush. That's the best way I can explain it to everyone. That the spectra, there's a frequency inhibitor, blocker, neutralizer, whatever you want to call it, that keeps it from burning the actual bush. Right. I'm trying to break down the science to y'all without getting too carried away. It's that deep, though. See, and when you can appreciate what's happening here, you can start to appreciate the things that you've heard of in your life and realize that even though these so-called scientists are full-blown crazy, some of the things that they're trying to do, I won't say make sense, but are achievable. Now let's just keep moving. And the Lord said to Moses, I have surely seen the affliction of my people that is in Egypt. I have heard their cry caused by their taskmasters. Yeah. And just in case y'all tripping or think I'm tripping, it says here, if we go back up to the second chapter real quick, and the children of Israel groaned because of their task and cried, and their cry because of their task went up to God. Stop right there. So when the Most High God says his people, he means that. Right. I have surely seen the affliction of my people that is in Egypt, and I have heard their cry caused by their taskmasters, for I know their affliction. And I have come down, meaning he has left heaven And I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them out of that land, and to bring them into a good and wide land, into a land flowing with milk and honey, into the places of the Canaanites, and the Kettites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Girgasites, and the Evites, and the Jebusites. And now, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come to me. I have seen the affliction with which the Egyptians afflict them. And now I will send thee to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and thou shalt bring out my people, the children of Israel, from the land of Egypt. And Moses said to God, who am I, that I should go to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and that I should bring out the children of Israel from the land of Egypt? And God spoke to Moses, saying, I will be with thee, and this shall be a sign to thee that I shall send thee forth, when thou bringest out my people out of Egypt. Then shall ye serve God in this mountain. And Moses said to God, behold, I shall go forth to the children of Israel, and I shall say to them, the God of our fathers has sent me to you. And they will ask me, what is his name? What shall I say to them? Stop right there. We're going to break it down real quick, just real fast. There's a lot to unpack right there. First off, Moses is scary, okay? Because if he wasn't scary, he just would have been ready to ride right then and there. This is the real God. But at the same time, he's has to test the spirit or whatever. Because maybe he's seen, or maybe he's heard of different, and he's like, I got to be sure. But listen to this next part with the Most High God. I'm sure is the Most High God. It's not the Messiah. Even if the Messiah is speaking, it's not the Messiah speaking for himself. It's the Messiah speaking on behalf of the Most High. Listen to what he says. And God spoke to Moses, saying, I am the being. The, all capitals, being, all capitals. All cap, but no cap. Can you dig it? And he said, thus shall ye say to the children of Israel, the being has sent me to you. You could say to be something, or being is a state of existence. The existence is what you could call the Most High God. The state of existence is what you could call if you wanted to. But once again, for low frequency, low spectra, low understanding, no understanding, unlearned individuals, sometimes it's just better to just do that. They're unlearned because they don't want to learn, not because they're unteachable. It's because they don't want to learn. Let's keep reading. And God said again to Moses, thus shalt thou say to the sons of Israel, the Lord God of our fathers, the God of Abraham, and God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and my memorial to the generations of generations. So let's talk about to the end. Go then and gather the elders of the children of Israel, and thou shalt say to them, the Lord God of our fathers has appeared to me, and the Lord God of our fathers has appeared to me, the God of Abraham, and God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, saying, I have surely looked upon you, and upon all the things which have happened to you in Egypt. And he said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of the Egyptians to the land of the Canaanites, and the Kittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Girgashites, and the Evites, and the Jebusites, to a land flowing with milk and honey. Now, before anybody wants to say that this is the vision of Abraham being fulfilled, why didn't the Most High God just tell him that his children were going to go to Egypt? Right. Understand. Moses is saying while he lived in the land of Medium that he's a stranger in a strange land. So that alone, I won't say is a major discrepancy for people who want to believe that the time that the people spent in Egypt is the time that was told, the 400 years that was told to Abraham. Let me break it down to y'all like this. Does anybody remember when I did the video talking about that the days were off? I told y'all my count could be wrong because I don't know when Benjamin Banneker implemented at what time of day the clock was first used. And if it was light outside or dark outside, that matters. It matters so much. Because what if it's not 5 days every year and it's 10 days or 15 or 20 days every year? The years are derelict. You're talking about years on years on years. You will be stuck here still. I don't want to take hope from anybody. I just want people to understand that I'm resolute to knowing this. I understand that, I accept it. There's a scale that it's on a bell curve. Say it like that. It could rise and go up, or it could descend and come down. So that it doesn't matter how much time there is. That's irrelevant. What's relevant is the fact that you have a chance to do that which is right. Now, before I continue on reading, let's break this down. Abraham surely was told, seen it in a vision, his people, right, being enslaved and, treated poorly in a certain type of land. Now, how could he not know that the land was Egypt? Think about that for just a half a moment. How could he not know that the land was Egypt, y'all? Just no idea. And the Most High God didn't tell him that, even though the man had sojourned in that land. Think about that. As a stranger already. Another problem is that the people were in Egypt for 430 years. I've contended that those who are here want us to lose track of time, the true 400 years, because a day is when the sun is up, then the sun goes down, and it comes back up. When the new sun comes up, that's a new day. Not when they tell you on the clock at 12:01, at 12 it's midnight, then at 12:01 it's a new day. So 60 seconds, even though the light hasn't changed, 60 seconds of their time dictates the time to you and for you. That doesn't even make sense, y'all. But let's keep reading now. And they shall hearken to thy voice, and thou and the elders of Israel shall go unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and thou shalt say to him, the God of the Hebrews has called us. Not the God of Israel, even though the Most High God could have told him, the God of the Hebrews, because he's trying to save an entire genealogy of people. Right. We will go then on a journey 3 days into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to our God. But I know that Pharaoh, king of Egypt, will not let you go, save with a mighty hand. And I will stretch out my hand and smite the Egyptians with all my wonders, which I shall work among them. And after that, he will send you forth. And I will give this people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. Whenever ye shall escape, ye shall not depart empty. But every woman shall ask of her neighbor and fellow lodger articles of gold and silver and apparel, and ye shall put them upon your sons and upon your daughters, and spoil ye the Egyptians. Stop right there. There's so much to unpack in this little area. There's so much to take out the bag. Look, check this out. First and foremost, he's saying that Pharaoh's not going to let you go until everything that's supposed to happen happens. Right. So if Pharaoh were to let them go and then right into the wilderness right away, the Most High God's word not be true. God forbid that he's a liar. The Most High God forbid that the Most High God would even speak a word or anything into existence that's a lie. Yah forbid. The Most High God forbid that. Having said that much, we know that there must be a totality or a finality of actions to engage or to manifest the end of the captivity and the servitude of the people of Israel in Egypt. Having said that, he also says, you will not depart empty. Right. And a woman's going to be able to ask her fellow lodger, her neighbor, and fellow lodger. Guess what that means? That her neighbors are Egyptian sometimes, and the person living with her is Egyptian. Whoo, man, we getting somewhere deep, aren't we? So that means that the children of Israel were all right. You got to make it how you make it. Man, you got to do what you got to do to make it. It is dictate to us. It's telling us this, not just that part, but another major thing. Does it tell us right now that the lame are going to meet, that the lame, even the lame, will leave with much loot? No, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. That's how I know that this is not the people leaving the second, I won't say ordained, but mandated captivity. Let's keep reading. Verse 1, chapter 4. And Moses answered and said, if they believe me not, and do not hearken to my voice, for they will say, God has not appeared to thee, what shall I say to them? And the Lord said to him, what is this thing that is in thine hand? And he said, a rod, as if the Most High God didn't know that was a rod in his hand, as if the Lord didn't know that was a rod in his hand. Come on, you feel what I'm saying? He asked the question to test Moses. Right. Moses tells him what it is. Now he tells Moses what you're going to do with it since you passed the test, which is a matter of honesty. Right. Because the Most High God will do what? Test your spirit as he wants you to test his. You're not tempting the Most High God is not testing him. Understand the difference of what I'm saying. A temptation is not a test, and a test is not a temptation. Okay? You're tempted with the idea of adultery, fornication. Okay? You're tested when you're starving and thirsty and famished. There's a difference. Because there might not be anything around you to tempt you to do anything. So now you are being tested. Where is your resolve? Where is your constitution, as they would say? Anyway, let's keep reading. And the Lord said to him, what is this thing in thine hand? And he said, a rod. And he said, the Lord, cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled from it. And it became a what? A serpent. Interesting. Won't even get carried away with that. We'll talk about that later. And the Lord said to Moses, stretch forth thine hand. And notice that Moses fled from it. He was scared. He was afraid of it, right? Funniest part is this. Who is supposed to be the enemy of man? That the Most High God ordained, mandated it when Adam and Eve were still eating in the garden. Just a question. Now let's go ahead and keep it pushing. And the Lord said to Moses, stretch forth thine hand and take hold of its tail. So he stretched forth his hand and took hold of the tail, and it became a rod in his hand, that they may believe thee, that the God of thy fathers has appeared to thee, that the God of Abraham and God of Isaac and God of Jacob. And the Lord said again to him, put thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, into his shirt. And he put his hand into his bosom. and brought his hand out of his bosom. Oh, whoa, excuse me. Something's wrong right there. I skipped a couple verses, my bad. And he put his hand into his bosom and brought out his hand out of his bosom, and his hand became as snow. And he said again, put thy hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and he brought out his hand out of his bosom. And it was again restored to the complexion of his other flesh. Stop right there. Let me ask y'all a question. If I was a pigskin Gentile, pink and all that, right? And I put my hand in my shirt and I ripped it out, and I was already pigskin. And when we get cold, we get white anyway. But I pull my hand out and I get white as snow. Is that really like a surprise? Some of them are already super duper pale. Right. Right. But if I'm a brown skinned man like I am, I don't care the shade of brown, dark or light. The darker, the crazier it looks. But if I put my hand in my shirt right now and ripped it out, and my hand was white as snow, stop it. You would be like, what is that? Right. So what was his other complexion like? Was he a pink-skinned Gentile who lost all the pink skin and looked like he was white? Or was he somebody who actually had true color to his skin? Complexion is an admission to color of his skin. Let's keep it pushing. And if they will not believe thee, nor hearken to thee, nor hearken to the voice of the first sign, they will believe thee because of the voice of the second sign. Voice. What is a voice? It's a sound. What is a sound? A frequency. What does a frequency exist in? Spectra. Let's go ahead and keep it pushing. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe thee, And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe thee for these two signs, and will not hearken to thy voice, that thou shalt take of the water of the river and pour it upon the dry land. And the water which thou shalt take from the river shall be blood upon the dry land. And Moses said to the Lord, I pray, Lord, I have not been sufficient in former times. Before yesterday, neither before the third day. That's what it's saying in the little symbol, excuse me. And I have not been sufficient in former times, neither from the time that thou hast begun to speak to thy servant. I am weak in speech and slow-tongued. And the Lord said to Moses, and see, when I was a child, they told me that Moses stuttered. I stuttered really bad. I don't know if you can't really tell, y'all, but I used to stutter really, 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 really bad. It was terrible. It was bad. It was just, that will drive your confidence down as a person. By the grace of the Most High God, I have overcome that inability to speak. So I'm not afraid, nor am I worried about reading to you. I would rather read to you. Having said that, that's what people used to say about Moses, that he stuttered. So I always felt a connection to Moses because for the longest time, I stuttered. This is no joke. And the Lord said to Moses, who has given a mouth to man? And who has made the very hard of hearing? And the deaf, and the deaf, the seeing and the blind. Have not I, God? And now go, and I will open thy mouth, and I will instruct thee in what thou shalt say. And Moses said, I pray thee, Lord, appoint another able person whom thou shalt send. And the Lord was greatly angered against Moses and said, lo, is not Aaron the Levite thy brother? I know that he will surely speak to thee. And behold, he will come forth to meet thee. And behold, and beholding thee, he will rejoice within himself. And thou shalt speak to him, and thou shalt put my words into his mouth. And I will open thy mouth and his mouth, and I will instruct you in what ye shall do. He shall speak for thee to the people, and he shall be thy mouth, and thou shalt be for him in things pertaining to God. And this rod that was turned into a serpent, thou shalt take in thine hand, wherewith thou shalt work miracles. Okay. He's saying, okay, he's pissed off. Whatever y'all want to say, angry, pissed, vexed. Okay. He's angry. And he's like, okay, bro, is your brother not Aaron? Okay, that's your brother, right? Okay, when you go to meet him, you're going to meet him. And he's going to be happy to see you. And you're going to tell him everything I've told you. And he's going to be your mouthpiece, and you're going to be his connection to me. Right. So my middleman has a middleman. I'm trying to water it down so people understand what's being said here. Let's keep reading. Verse 18. And Moses went and returned to Jotham, his father-in-law, and says, I will go and return to my brethren in Egypt and see if they are yet living. And Jotham said to Moses, go in health, meaning be safe. And in those days, after some time, the king of Egypt died. And the Lord said to Moses in Madian, go, depart into Egypt, for all that sought thy life are dead. And Moses took his wife and his children and mounted them on the beast and returned to Egypt. And Moses took the rod which he had from God in his hand. And the Lord said to Moses, when thou goest and returnest to Egypt, see all the miracles I have charged thee with, I have put in thy hands. Thou shalt work before Pharaoh, and I will harden his heart, and he will certainly not send away the people. And thou shalt say to Pharaoh, these things saith the Lord. This is where it gets interesting. These are some of my favorite parts. Let's get to it. Israel is my firstborn. And I said to thee, send away my people that they may serve me. Now, if thou wilt not send them away, see, I will slay thy firstborn. Stop. The ultimate threat, right? The Most High God is saying to Moses, you're going to tell Pharaoh that this whole nation of people are like my firstborn child. They are my firstborn. Meaning what? There was no nation of people that ever worshiped the Most High God. Meaning what? The things that I have said for years and years and years, that there was no God worship before or even after the flood until whatever took place. And I won't get into that because there's a whole lot to cover with that whole issue by itself. Having said that, let's keep reading. And I said to thee, send away my people, that they may serve me. Now, if thou wilt not send them away, see, I will slay thy firstborn son. And if it come to pass that the angel of the and if it came to pass, and it came to pass, that the angel of the Lord met him by the way in the inn and sought to slay him, talking about Moses. And Sephora, having taken a stone, cut off the foreskin of her son and fell at his feet and said, the blood of the circumcision of my son is staunched. And he departed from him. And he departed from him because she said, my son is staunched. And the Lord said to Aaron, okay, now this is, let me just clean up that last little part. Whichever son that was, was not circumcised. I can't say that the eldest or the youngest, whoever, but it could have been Gershom, it could have not been Gershom, but was not circumcised. Right. And the way that she fended off the angel was by circumcising her son and saying that the blood, okay, is unclean and it stinks. Right. Something that's truly holy is not going to put itself in a position for something like that. Now, what I perceive is that this was the action that the angel actually wanted taken place to begin with. Right. Because everybody who was Moses is circumcised, whether y'all know that or not. Right. See, the covenant started with what? Can we do I need to do a rewind where the Most High God said, walk with me and be thou perfect? Huh? And circumcise the flesh of your foreskin? Is that not the first true, real way into being in the covenant with the Most High God? Did the Most High God not say if a child is not circumcised after 7 days or 8 days, that that child is to be cut off, that that soul is to be cut off from its people? Okay, then. Right. But there were no laws. I'm trying to explain it to people. Moses wrote the Genesis, wrote it, or the Most High God gave it to him, whichever y'all want to say. But he's the main and sole beneficiary of that knowledge right then and there at that place, at the appointed place and time. Stuff is deep. Let's keep reading. And the Lord said to Aaron, go into the wilderness to meet Moses. And he went and met him in the mount of God. And they kissed each other. And Moses reported to Aaron all the words of the Lord, which he sent, and all the things which he charged him. And Moses and Aaron went and gathered the elders of the children of Israel. At this point, they're elders, y'all. At this point, they're grown older men. They can command the respect of the elders, unlike, somebody who's not an elder. Right. This is basic sense. So we have to look at the situation being honest. We can't try to you can't try to act like that's not what it is. That's what it is. Okay, where we at? And Aaron spoke all the words. And Aaron spoke all these words, which God spoke to Moses, and wrought miracles before the people. And the people believed and rejoiced because God visited the children of Israel and because he saw their affliction. And the people bowed and worshiped. We're about to get into chapter 5 here in a minute. It's a whole lot of reading we got to do. And I'm sorry that it's going to take so long. I'm sorry that it's going to take me so long, y'all. I apologize in advance. But, we got to do this. Give me 1 second. Damn, I got nothing over here. Need some juice or something. Give me a moment. In a minute, I will be getting up to get myself something to drink, more than likely. And note, the people believe the signs that they've seen. Right. Not that none of them have never seen magic before in their life, but they believe these signs. Because of what? Because they had just cried up to the Most High God and they're like, he must have heard our cry. He must have heard our prayer. There's no way he didn't. He had to have. Right. That's the only logical thing, that he heard our cry and he sent a savior to us. Now let's just keep reading. And after this, chapter 5, verse 1, and after this went in Moses and Aaron to Pharaoh. And they said to him, these things says the Lord God of Israel, send my people away, that they may keep a feast to me in the wilderness. And Pharaoh said, who is he that I should hearken to his voice? Wow. Do y'all hear this nigga? Who is he that I should hearken to his voice? and send away the and Who is he that I should hearken to his voice, so that I should send away the children of Israel? This nigga was serious. Pharaoh was dead ass serious when he asked that question. Can y'all believe that? Do y'all understand? Pharaoh was dead serious. Who is the Most High God? Who is the creator of heaven and earth for me to send away the children of Israel? That's how ridiculous it sounds when you understand what this individual was saying. See, he was in the moment. I'm not in the moment. I don't live in the moment that Pharaoh lived in. So I'm not a prisoner of the moment like he was. I'm able to look at it and be objective. Pharaoh was not objective. Let's just say that. Continuing where I was at. I do not know the Lord, and I will not let Israel go. Or I do not let Israel go. Whichever one y'all want to say. There's a little symbol there. I'm just reading it. And they say to him, the God of the Hebrews has called us to him. We will go therefore a 3 days journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God, lest at any time death or slaughter happen to us. And the king of Egypt said to them, why do ye, Moses and Aaron, turn the people from their works? Depart each of you to your people, to your works. And Pharaoh said, behold now, the people is very numerous. Let us not then give them rest from their work. And Pharaoh gave orders to the taskmasters of the people and the accountants, saying, ye shall no longer give straw to the people for brickmaking as yesterday and the third day, but let them go themselves and collect straw for themselves. And thou shalt impose on them daily the rate of brickmaking which they perform. Thou shalt not abate anything, for they are idle. Therefore have they cried, saying, let us rise and do sacrifice to our God. Let the works of these men be made grievous, and let them care for these things, and not for vain words. So Pharaoh's saying like this, look, put these niggas to work. Don't give them any straw to make their bricks with. Tell them they need to go get their own straw, and we need the same number of bricks every day. And tell them, since y'all niggas have all this energy to want to go and worship your God, use that energy to make bricks. Wow, this nigga's cold. That's all I can say. He's cold-blooded. Verse 10. And the taskmasters and the accountants hastened them, and they spoke to the people, saying, thus says Pharaoh, I will give you straw no longer. Go ye yourselves, get for yourselves straw whensoever ye can find it, for nothing is diminished from your rate. And the people were dispersed in all the land of Egypt to gather stubble for straw. And the taskmasters hastened them, saying, fulfill your regular daily task, even as when straw was given you. And the accountants of the race of the children of Israel, who were set over them by the masters of Pharaoh, were scourged and questioned. Men saying, why have ye not fulfilled your rates of brickworks as yesterday and the third day, today also? And the accounts of the children of Israel went in and cried to Pharaoh, saying, why dost thou act thus to thy servants? Straw is not given to thy servants, and tell them, and they tell us to make brick. Behold, thy servants have been scourged. Thou wilt therefore injure thy people. And he said to them, ye are idle, ye are idlers. This nigga Pharaoh, he's something else, bro. Y'all ain't doing shit, is what he's saying. Okay? Y'all just sitting around with your hands, sitting on your hands, right? Twiddling your thumbs. That's crazy. Therefore, ye say, let us go and do sacrifice to our God. Now then, go and work, for straw shall not be given to you, and ye shall return to the rate, and yet ye shall return the rate of bricks. And the accountants of the children of Israel saw themselves in an evil plight. men saying, ye shall not fail to deliver the ye shall not fail to deliver the daily rate of brick making. Listen, stop right there. The accountants, right, are like, look, bruh, you can't ask us to go out here and tell the people to keep doing the same work, and you're not even going to provide the most basic level of provender to accomplish that work. Right. The hours and hours and hours it might take for you to get just enough straw to make all your brick. But you're talking about working all day, working all night. This nigga's evil, cuz. And don't worry. See, this is why when white folks think that they're fucked up, it's like there was niggas before you. There were brown-skinned people with curly hair before you that were the devil to other black people, other brown people, other Afro people who were the devil to them. You're nothing but a shit stain in somebody's underwear compared to Pharaoh. Let's keep it pushing. Verse 20. And they met Moses and Aaron coming forth to meet them. As they came forth from Pharaoh, and they said to them, the Lord looked upon you and judge you, for ye have made our savor abominable before Pharaoh and before his servants, to put a sword into his hands to slay us. And Moses turned to the Lord and said, I pray, Lord, why hast thou afflicted this people? And wherefore hast thou sent me? For from the time that I went to Pharaoh to speak in thy name, he has afflicted this people, and thou hast not delivered thy people. So Moses is pretty much saying what? Why'd you send me here? I thought you were going to save everybody. This nigga's in here acting a fool, and I'm looking stupid. I'm trying to paraphrase it and break it down for y'all so y'all can see how I'm seeing the story play out. Verse 1 of chapter 6. And the Lord said to Moses, now then, now thou shalt see what I will do to Pharaoh. For he shall send them forth with a mighty hand, and with a high arm shall he cast them out of his land. And God spoke to Moses and said to him, I am the Lord, and I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, being their God, but I did not manifest to them my name, the Lord. Stop right there. Y'all remember that part where Abraham is talking to Melchizedek, the priest of Salem, and he's out there, and Melchizedek says, blessed be the Most High God. And then Abraham goes behind him and says, no, blessed be the Most High God. Okay, that means that they're talking about two different individuals. And Abraham never named the Most High God because he didn't know his name. It's telling us this right here. So if there's a name there in any Bible, stop it. If there's any Bible that has a name uttered out of the mouth of Abraham, they lied on Abraham, and it's a lie, and it's an abomination. Say that. I'm saying it. Let's keep it pushing. And I establish my covenant with them to give them the land of the Canaanites, the land wherein they sojourned, in which also they dwelt as strangers. And I hearkened to the groanings of the children of Israel, the affliction with which the Egyptians enslaved them. And I remember the covenant with you. Go, speak to the children of Israel. And note, the children of Israel were slaves in Egypt up until they got up out of Egypt. And I hearkened to the groanings of the children of Israel, the affliction with which the Egyptians enslaved them. And I remembered the covenant with you. Go, speak to the children of Israel, saying, I am the Lord, and I will lead you forth from the tyranny of the Egyptians, and I will deliver you from bondage, and I will ransom you with a high arm and great judgment, and I will take you to me a people for myself, and will be your God. and ye shall know that I am the Lord. And ye shall know that I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the tyranny of the Egyptians. Okay, another major point. If Egypt was the place, again, that we were supposed to be stuck in and sojourning in, right? That that Abraham seen in that vision, that was the case. The only thing it would have talked about is enslaving them. Possibly, the 400 years is not 430 years. And if you count 400 years, but you haven't been counting the time properly, that's not 400 years. I need y'all to really understand this. 400 years, 430 years for them back then is the sun going up and the sun going down. At the middle of the night is not a new day. For no one in this book. For no one. Even if they're moon worshipers, they understand that. Let's keep reading. Give me one moment. And I will bring you into the land concerning which I stretched out my hand to give it to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. And I will give it to you for an inheritance. I am the Lord. And Moses spoke thus to the sons of Israel. And they hearkened not to Moses for faint-heartedness, because they were scared, and for their hard task. So not only are they scared, but they're in there getting worked to the bone. They're literally scared, but they're also tired. You get what I'm saying? You know, where do you think individuals like Vince Lombardi got terms like fatigue makes cowards of all men or makes cowards of us all? But stories like this, no? Anyway, let's keep going. And I'm pretty sure the Bible was around long before there was ever anything that you consider football. And the Lord said to Moses, saying, go in, speak to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, that he send forth the children of Israel out of his land. And Moses spoke before the Lord, saying, behold, the children of Israel hearken not to me. And how shall Pharaoh hearken to me? And I am not eloquent. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron and gave them a charge to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and gave them a charge to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, that he should send forth the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. And these are the heads of the houses of the families. The sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, Enoch and Phalus, Ashran and Carmi. This is the kindred of Reuben. And the sons of Simeon, Jemuel and Jamin and Aod and Jachin and Ser and Saul, the son of a Phoenician woman. These are the families of the sons of Simeon. And these are the names of the sons of Levi, according to their kindred: Getson, Kath, and Merari. And the years of the life of Levi were 137. And the sons of Getson, Labani and Simei, the houses of their family. And the sons of Kath, Ambram and Isar and Chebron and Oziel. And the years of the life of Kath were 133 years. And the sons of Merari, Muoli and Omusi. These are the houses of the families of Levi, according to their kindreds. And Abram took to wife Jochebed, the daughter of his father's brother, his cousin, and she bore to him Aaron and Moses and Miriam, their sister. The years of the life of Abram were 132 years. The sons of Isar, Koreh, Naphek, and Zechri. The sons of Oziel, Misael, Elasaphan, and Segri. And Aaron took to himself to wife Elizabeth, daughter of Aminadab, sister of Nasan. And she bore to him Nadab, and Abiud, and Eleazar, and Ithamar, the sons of Korah, Isar, or Asir, and Elkanah, and Abiasar, or Abasar. These are the generations of Korah. And Eleazar, the son of Aaron, took to himself for wife one of the daughters of Putiel, and she bore to him Phinehas. These are the heads of the family of the Levites, according to their generations. This is Aaron and Moses, whom God told to bring out of the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt with their forces. These are they that spoke with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and Aaron himself and Moses brought out the children of Israel from the land of Egypt, in the day in which the Lord spoke to Moses in the land of Egypt. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, now stop right there. Did y'all notice that these are the oldest sons? Reuben, Simeon, and Levi? Their sons are the ones who actually go. The eldest sons of the eldest tribes are the guys who are actually going in and speaking with Pharaoh. One of the best points, and I got to point this out right now, they were busting in the joint, as Brother Andre Wickham likes to eloquently put. They were not asking for permission to come into the palace. They were just busting up in that joint, okay? Walking up, like smacking up guards. Not for real, but you know what I mean, though. Like, nigga, where's Pharaoh? Where's he at? Is he in his jacuzzi chambers? Is he out there feeding lions, tigers, and bears? What is he doing? Where is he at? Because we got to see him right now. That's what they were doing. No permission. I don't ask for permission, and I ain't begging this nigga for forgiveness. Okay? Straight, when I say savage life all the way. It's just not written like that. But they were going extra hard in the paint. Let's go ahead and keep reading. I love it. I love it. These are they that spoke with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and Aaron himself and Moses brought out the children of Israel from the land of Egypt, in the day in which the Lord spoke to Moses in the land of Egypt. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, I am the Lord. Speak to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, whatsoever I say to thee. And Moses said before, and Moses said before the Lord, behold, I am not able in speech. How shall Pharaoh hearken to me? Verse 1, chapter 7. Damn, we're just riding on through. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, behold, I have made thee a God, lowercase g, to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet or spokesman. And thou shalt say to him all things that I charge thee. And Aaron thy brother shall speak to Pharaoh, that he should send forth the children of Israel out of his hand. And I will harden the heart of Pharaoh, and I will multiply my signs and wonders in the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh will not hearken to you. And I will lay my hand upon Egypt, and I will bring out my people, the children of Israel, with my power out of the land of Egypt with great vengeance. You know, vengeance is what? Prelude to justice. Let's go ahead and just keep it pushing. We don't want to get carried away with that. But y'all know how I feel about vengeance. It is who? The Most High God's. It is his to practice. And as he said, he would bring out, let me read that again. And I will lay my hand upon Egypt and will bring out my people, the children of Israel, with my power out of the land of Egypt with great vengeance. Okay, then. Did he say I'm gonna depend on the children of Israel to to whoop ass and take names? Right? No, it's not what he said. He said, I'm going to do it. So this is an indication and vindication that vengeance is the Lord's. Let's go ahead and keep it pushing. And all the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, stretching out my hand upon Egypt, And I will bring out the children of Israel out of the midst of them. And Moses and Aaron did as the Lord commanded them. So did they. And Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron, his brother, was 83 years old when he spoke to Pharaoh. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, now if Pharaoh should speak to you, saying, give us a sign or wonder, then shalt thou say to thy brother, Aaron, take thy rod and cast it upon the ground before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it shall become a serpent. And Moses and Aaron went in before Pharaoh and before his servants, and they did so as the Lord commanded them. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. But Pharaoh called together the wise men of Egypt, and the sorcerers, and the charmers, also of the Egyptians, did likewise with their sorceries. Sorceries. So, is it safe to say that what Aaron and Moses are dealing with is a form of magic or a sorcery? Can you say that and not get stricken down by the Most High God? Lose your life in that moment? I'm sure you can. The Most High God knows how to, once again, not interrupt the natural frequencies that need to take place for life to be as it is. He can do that. So if I want to turn a piece of metal into a living thing, I know how to manipulate its actual very core molecular origin to make it to where it was something stagnant. Now it's a living thing. I'm just speaking to it's alchemy. It's all kinds of different forms of magic all into one. It's not going to say it's too much for me to explain, but that's a whole other subject and a whole nother thing to talk about. And they each, excuse me, and they cast down each his rod, and they became serpents. But the rod of Aaron swallowed up their rods, and the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he hearkened not to them, as the Lord changed them, as the Lord charged them, excuse me. Verse 14, and the Lord said to Moses, the heart of Pharaoh is made hard, so that he should not let the people go. Go to Pharaoh early in the morning. Behold, he goes forth to the water, and thou shalt meet him on the bank of the river, and thou shalt take in thy hand the rod that was turned into a serpent, and thou shalt say to him, the Lord God of the Hebrews has sent me to thee, saying, send my people away, that they may serve me in the wilderness. And behold, hitherto thou hast not hearkened. These things saith the Lord. Hereby shalt thou know that I am the Lord. Behold, I strike the water which is in the river, and it shall be changed into blood. And the fish that are in the river shall die, and the river shall stink thereupon, and the Egyptians shall not be able to drink water from the river. And the Lord said to Moses, say to thy brother Aaron, take the rod in thy hand, and stretch forth thy hand over the waters of Egypt, and over their rivers, and over their canals, and over their ponds, and over all their standing water, and it shall become blood. And there was blood in all the land of Egypt, both in vessels of wood and stone. And Moses and Aaron did so, as the Lord commanded them. And Aaron, having lifted up his hand with the rod, smote the water in the river before Pharaoh and before his servants, and changed all the water in the river into blood. And the fish in the river died, and the river stank thereon, and the Egyptians could not drink water from the river. And blood was in all the land of Egypt. And the charmers also of the Egyptians did so with their sorceries. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not hearken to them, even as the Lord said. And Pharaoh turned and entered into his house, nor did he fix his attention on this thing, even on this thing. And all the Egyptians dug round about the river, so as to drink water, for they could not drink water from the river. and 7 days were fulfilled after the Lord had smitten the river. Stop right there. Bam, let's talk about it. So the Most High God uses some sort of frequency uh, shield, so that way, and it's also dictate all the water that came from the river turned into blood. So everything that was in the vessels that came from the river, everything that all the bodies of water that would come from the river, the ponds, i.e., right, standing water, right, everything that's there, all that comes from that river is turned into blood, right. Now, luckily for them, a river is not bigger than the sea, and a river is normally fed by a sea. So they had to dig around the river, right? That was not the main body, i.e., improvised wells, so that way they could even get some water. And you know that water was dirty and muddy and everything, but better that than, you know what I'm saying, not having any water. So when I say inhibitor or blocker, it's kind of like how certain frequencies, and I can't think of any two frequencies right now that cancel each other out, like the actual megahertz or kilohertz of them, but there are frequencies that cancel one another out. I'm contending that the frequency that was used was not a frequency that cancels itself out, but is one that acts almost like an invisible shield. So the water that rushes from that is literally in the river, right, has a certain frequency. If it's not directly into the river, its frequency may differ. I'm contending this because all the water everywhere was not corrupted. Only the water that serviced the river was corrupted. So I'm contending that that exact frequency and all frequencies in relation to it were affected. Anything that had the most base frequency that that river held was affected. Saying that the base frequency of the sea is not the same base frequency of the river. Can y'all dig what I'm saying? I know this is deep. I know I'm talking about stuff that I almost never talk about, but these are things that I think about all the time when I read the scripture. So let me give y'all once again a piece of my mind. Verse 1 of chapter 8. Let's keep going. And the Lord said to Moses, go into Pharaoh, and thou shalt say to him, these things. Excuse me. One moment. Let me just see what's really popping. So I'm going to determine if I'm going to knock it all out today or if I'm going to get maybe a third of the way. So I'll probably read about 5 or 6 more chapters and I'll probably call it done. Then I'll pick up again either later today or tomorrow or something like that after I get home from work. But we'll get it popping. We're going to keep it popping. And the Lord said to Moses, go into Pharaoh, and thou shalt say to him these things. Send forth my people, that they may serve me. And if thou wilt not send them forth, behold, I afflict all thy borders with frogs, and the rivers shall teem with frogs, and they shall go up and enter into thy houses, and enter into thy bedchambers, and upon thy beds, and upon the houses of thy servants, and of thy people, and on thy dough, and on thine ovens, and upon thee, and upon thy servants, and upon the people shall frogs come up. And the Lord said to Moses, say to Aaron thy brother, stretch forth with the hand, with the hand thy rod over the rivers, and over the canals, and over the pools, and bring up the frogs. And Aaron stretched forth his hand over all the waters of Egypt, and brought up the frogs. And the frog was brought up, and covered the land of Egypt. And the charmers of Egypt and the charmers of the Egyptians also did likewise with their sorceries, and brought up frogs on the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Moses and Aaron, saying, pray for me to the Lord. Let him take away the frogs from me and from my people, and I will send them away, and they shall sacrifice to the Lord. And Moses said to Pharaoh, appoint me a time when I shall pray for thee, and for thy servants, and for the people, to cause the frogs to disappear from thee, and from thy people, and from your houses. Only in the river shall they be left behind. And he said, on the morrow, or tomorrow. And he said, therefore, as thou hast said, that thou mayest know that there is no other God but the Lord. So the reason why Moses asked Pharaoh to do that, breaking that down real quick, is he's saying, hey, look, you pick the time, right? And then I'll pray for you. Pharaoh says, okay, tomorrow. Moses is like, all right, tomorrow it is. But just know that when it happens tomorrow, that there's only one God, that is my God. Now, reminding y'all just real quick, there were many individuals back in the day that were considered men gods or a man god. So somebody who ordained themselves a god, even though they were only a man and were mortal. Pharaoh, king of Egypt, is more than likely one of those individuals. Henceforth, his inability and his unwillingness to accept that the creator of heaven and earth may truly be tapping on his shoulder. Let's just keep reading. And Moses and Aaron went forth from Pharaoh, and Moses cried to the Lord concerning the restriction of the frogs, as Pharaoh appointed him. And the Lord did as Moses said, and the frogs died out of the houses and out of the villages and out of the fields, and they gathered them together in heaps, and the land stank. And when Pharaoh saw that there was relief, his heart was hardened. Sucker. And he did not hearken to them as the Lord spoke. And the Lord said to Moses, say to Aaron, stretch forth thy rod with thy hand, and smite the dust of the earth, and there shall be lice upon man, and upon quadrupeds, and in all the land of Egypt. Another one of those falsities that black people can't get lice. Black people can get lice. Okay. They just normally don't because they normally put enough oils and things like that in their head. But this is once again, the frequency that these things are existing in are amplified, are increased so greatly that even if you're doing everything that you should do to keep this sort of pestilence away from you, the frequency that it's operating in is going to overpower that. It's gonna pretty much supersede what it normally would be able to do. So Aaron stretched forth his rod with his hand and smote the dust of the earth, and lice were on men and on quadrupeds, and in all the dust of the earth there were lice. And the charmers also did so with their sorceries to bring forth the louse, and they could not. And right, they tried, but they couldn't. And the lice were on both men and on the quadrupeds. So the charmers said to Pharaoh, this is the finger of God. But the heart of Pharaoh, now listen, his own charmers are telling him, bro, this has to be the creator. We can't do it. Right. Our magic is powerful. Our kung fu is strong, bro. And can't we can't death grip this one. I'm sorry. This has got to be the creator. Right. I know it seems childish or peevish for me to try to stress this point, but it really is important, y'all. It's very important, and it's detrimental to folks getting to people understanding, hey, when they went into Egypt, they were not welcome with open arms. Right. And the only reason why Pharaoh didn't try to have Moses killed is because the last thing you needed was for one of these plagues to be on your land forever. That would have ruined the Egyptians. But these things are literally ruining the Egyptians. Literally. Bringing down their economy, bringing down the morale of the people, blase, 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 blase. Setting up the stage for future invasions of other nations. Egypt was never as powerful as it was before Moses, afterwards. So the strongest the empire I could legitimately claim was during the times of Joseph, right before he died, when he was able to get all the Egyptians to not only enslave themselves, but also to make it to where they have to give a tithe of their land forever. Let's just keep reading. But the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he hearkened not to them, as the Lord said. And the Lord said to Moses, rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh. And behold, he will go forth to the water. And thou shalt say to him, these things says the Lord, send away my people, that they may serve me in the wilderness. And if thou wilt not let my people go, behold, I send upon thee, and upon thy servants, and upon thy people, and upon your houses, the dog fly. And the houses of the Egyptians shall be filled with the dog fly, even throughout the land upon which they are. And I will distinguish marvelously in that day in the land of Geshem, on which my people dwell, in which the dog fly shall not be, that thou may knowest that I am the Lord, the God of all the earth. And I will put a difference between my people and thy people. On the morrow shall this be on the land. And the Lord did thus. And the dog fly came in abundance into the houses of Pharaoh, and into the houses of his servants, and into all the land of Egypt. And the land was destroyed by the dog fly. And the land was destroyed by the dog fly. Stop right there. Give me half a second. Do y'all realize that a major part of this is so that way there's a distinction between two individual groups of people that may very well be confusing to the eye? It would be like the Indians, the Eastern Indians, making a distinction between themselves and the Thai and the Lao and the Cambodians. Right on? Word? You know, because the Cambos, the Lao, and the Thai, they all look alike, but they all have a similar genealogy or a similar origin that goes back to India, right? But the Indians are not Cambodians. They're not Cambos, they're not Thai, they're not Laos. They're Indian for all intents and purpose. And so that's the best way I could explain it to you. That even though some of these groups of people may look alike, they're still different. Right. The only reason why you would need to make a distinction between them is that they look the same. Right. Do I need to make a distinction between myself and any white dude out there? No, I don't. Doesn't matter if they grow a beard or not. It doesn't matter if their hair is curly, because we know how that got like that. But I need not distinguish myself from an individual that is classified as an Anglo or a Caucasoid or anything like that. White. I wouldn't have to. There's no need for me or you to do that. But to distinguish ourselves from individuals who right now to this day we are confused with, we are lumped together with, right? Even though they may not be of the same or even a similar genealogy as we are. All these things are important. All these things matter. Sem, Ham, Japheth all have their fathers the same man, obviously. They all are triplets. So that means that the children of these three men will do what? They will look alike. They will be similar. That means that true Grecians, true Egyptians, and true Hebrew people would almost be indistinguishable from one another at a certain point in time in history. Let's go ahead and keep reading. And Pharaoh said, verse 25, Pharaoh called Moses and Aaron, saying, go and sacrifice to the Lord your God in the land. And Moses said, it cannot be so, for we shall sacrifice to the Lord our God the abominations of the Egyptians. For if we sacrifice the abominations of the Egyptians before them, we shall be stoned. We will go a journey of 3 days into the wilderness, and we will sacrifice to the Lord our God, as the Lord said to us. And Pharaoh said, I will let you go, and do ye sacrifice to your God, as the Lord, one second, and do ye sacrifice, give me a second, to your God in the wilderness, but do not go very far away. Pray then for me to the Lord. And Moses said, I will go forth from thee and pray to God. And the dogfly shall depart both from thy servants and from thy people tomorrow. Do not thou, Pharaoh, deceive again, so as not to send the people away to do sacrifice to the Lord. And Moses went out from Pharaoh and prayed to God. And the Lord did as Moses said, and removed the dogfly from Pharaoh and his servants and from his people. and there was not one left. And Pharaoh hardened his heart, even on this occasion, and he would not send the people away. Verse 1 of chapter 9. Here we go. We're going to, like I said, we're going to read a few more of these chapters. Then I'm going to cut it short. I don't know. Maybe if I'm still feeling it, I'll still keep reading. But, you know, it takes a lot of energy to read, whether people know it or not. It takes a lot of mental agility. We'll say it like that. And the Lord said to Moses, "Go into Pharaoh, and thou shalt say to him, These things saith the Lord God of the Hebrews, Send my people away that they may serve me. If, however, thou wilt not send my people away, but ye detainest them, behold, the hand of the Lord shall be upon thy cattle in the fields, both on the horses, and on the asses, and on the camels, and on the ox, and of the sheep, a very great mortality or death. And I will make a marvelous distinction in that time between the cattle of the Egyptians and the cattle of the children of Israel. Nothing shall die of all that is the children of Israel, the children of Israel. And God fixed a limit, saying, Tomorrow the Lord will do this thing on the land. And the Lord did this thing on the next day. See, when it says God and then it says the Lord, I have to assume that there's a level of authority that's not being uh, distinguished, right? It's not being differentiated. One could say that the Most High God is God in this instance and that the Lord is his Messiah. One could say that God is the Messiah acting on behalf of the Most High God and that the Lord is one of his angels, i.e. the angels of the Messiah. We're not even going to go there. I just want to put that out there to y'all. No. Remember when Joshua met that angel and he called that angel Lord and it was a capital L? Never mind that. And that's way after this, but that's just me throwing it out there. And God fixed the limit, saying, Tomorrow the Lord will do this thing on the land. And the Lord did this thing on the next day. And all the cattle of the Egyptians died. But the cattle of the children of Israel, there died not one. And when Pharaoh saw that all the cattle of the children of Israel, there died not one, the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not let the people go. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, Take you handfuls of ashes of the furnace, and let Moses scatter it toward heaven before Pharaoh and before his servants, and let it become dust over all the land of Egypt, and there shall be upon men and beasts sores and blains, breaking forth both on men and on beasts in the land and all the land of Egypt. So he took of the ashes of the furnace before Pharaoh, and Moses scattered it toward heaven, and it became sore blains, breaking forth both on men and on beasts. And the sorcerers could not stand before Moses because of the sores, for the sores were on the sorcerers and all the land of Egypt. And the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he hearkened not to them, as the Lord appointed. And the Lord said to Moses, Rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh. And thou shalt say to him, These things saith the Lord God of the Hebrews, Send away my people, that they may serve me. For at this present time do I send forth all my plagues, or all my occurrences, into thine heart, and into the heart of thine servants and of thy people, that thou mayest know that there is not another such as I in all the earth. For now I will stretch forth my hand and smite thee and kill thy people, and thou shalt be consumed from off the earth. And for this purpose hast thou been preserved. Did y'all hear that? And for this purpose hast thou been preserved. Stop right there. Why do you think the wicked are being preserved right now? Right. So that way, when he takes them off the earth, when the Most High God does what he's going to do, everybody's like, yep, that's the creator doing this. That has to be only him. Not some pseudo, spurious, or sham nonsense but the real thing. Let's keep reading. For this purpose hast thou been preserved, that I might display in thee my strength, and that my name might be published in all the earth. So the Most High God is unknown to the people of the earth. Right. I can't stress this enough. No one knows who he is. No one. Right. Do you know how crazy you would look? You worship nothing. You don't worship nothing. You're just praying, and you're like who is this dude praying to? He must be crazy. They all got to be crazy. Because they can't even see their God. They don't even know their God's name. Right. So imagine how crazy the Israelites looked to everybody else. Ain't nobody on earth circumcised like that. But y'all, clipping off the skin on your thing, oh, these niggas is crazy. They have to be crazy. They literally have got to lost their minds. Right. Think about it. Now let's keep going. Dost thou then yet exert thyself to hinder my people so as to not let them go? Behold, tomorrow at this hour I will rain a very great hail, such as not has been in Egypt from the time it was created until this day. Now then, hasten to gather thy cattle and all that has in the fields, for all the men and cattle, as many shall be found in the fields, shall not enter into a house, but the hail shall fall upon them, shall die. He of the servants of Pharaoh that feared the word of the Lord gathered his cattle unto his houses. And he that did not attend in his mind the word of the Lord left his cattle in the fields. And the Lord said to Moses, stretch out thine hand to heaven, and there shall be hail on all the land of Egypt, both on men and on the cattle and on all the herbage of the land. And Moses stretched forth his hand to heaven, and the Lord sent thunderings and hail. And it says from thunderings, it says voices. That's deep. And fire ran along upon the ground, and the Lord rained hail on all the land of Egypt. So there was hail and flaming fire mingled with hail. That's crazy. And the hail was very great, such as was not in Egypt from the time that there was a nation upon it. And the hail smote and all the hail smote and all the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And the hail smote all the grass in the field, and the hail broke into pieces all the trees in the field. Only in the land of Gesem, where the children of Israel were, the hail was not. And Pharaoh sent and called Moses and Aaron and said to them, see, right now he's reaching out to them again, right? Not just them busting up into the palace. And said to them, I have sinned this time. Not like he's saying, okay, I don't know if he's saying that he didn't sin all those other times, but he's like, for sure, I've sinned. I have sinned this time. Where am I at? The Lord is righteous, and I and my people are wicked. Pray then for me to the Lord, and let him cause the thunderings of God to cease, and the hail and the fire, and I will send you forth, and ye shall remain no longer. And Moses said to him, when I have departed from the city, I will stretch out my hands to the Lord, and the thundering shall cease, and the hail and the rain shall be no longer, that thou mayst knowest that the earth is the Lord's. But as for thee and thy servants, I know that ye have feared not the Lord. And the flax and the barley were smitten, for the barley was advanced, and the flax was seeding. But the wheat and the rye were not smitten, for they were late. And Moses went forth from Pharaoh and out of the city, and stretched out his hands to the Lord. And the rain did not drop on the earth. And when Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail and the thunder ceased, he continued to sin. And he hardened his heart and the heart of his servants. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not send forth the children of Israel as the Lord commanded Moses. Now let's go ahead and talk about what happened just then. First and foremost, the hail destroyed everything, and there was fire mixed with the hail on the ground, and crazy stuff going down, right? Now it says that the barley and the flaxseed were both advanced, like they were out, they were already growing out of the ground, so they were destroyed. But the rye and the wheat, or the wheat and the rye, were not smitten because they were late, meaning that they hadn't began to sprout yet, so that they still had that. Now, another major part of all this is Pharaoh admits that his people are wicked. Right, right. He admits this. It's not him just saying it just to say it. He says it because he knows, truthfully, honestly, they're wicked. Right, man. This is deep. Now, these are things that people just read and look over and they go through the motions with. I'm not going through the motions with y'all as I read this. Let's keep reading though. Chapter 10, verse 1. A couple more chapters and I'll probably put this stuff down for a second. Reinvigorate myself, and then come back to it. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Go into Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, that these signs may come upon them, in order that ye may relate in the ears of your children and to your children's children, and how many things I have mocked the Egyptians, and my wonders which I wrought among them. Ye shall know that I am the Lord. Okay, one of the reasons why I believe that this individual sometimes is not the Most High God who's being spoken on is because it's saying that he has all the power in the earth, not over the earth, and not all the power in heaven and in like over everything. Right, right. See what I'm saying? Now, once again, you could contend that it's the Most High God. You could say it's not. I'm saying that if you were to say it's not the Most High God and were to say it's the Messiah, I have no issues with that. Unless the power being talked about is absolutely all-time high, you can always distinguish that it may not be the Most High God. Once again, this is a translation and a transliteration of something from the original. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Go into Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, that these signs may come upon them, in order that ye may relate them in the ears of your children and to your children's children, and how many things I have mocked the Egyptians, and my wonders which I have wrought among them. And ye shall know that I am the Lord. And Moses and Aaron went in before Pharaoh, and they said to him, These things say the Lord God of the Hebrews. How long dost thou refuse to reverence me? Send my people away, that they may serve me. But if thou wilt not send away my people, behold, at this hour tomorrow I will bring an abundance of locusts upon all the earth, and thou shalt not be able to see the earth, and they shall devour all, that is left of the abundance of the earth, which the hail left you, and shall devour every tree that grows from you on the land, and thine houses shall be filled, and the houses of thy servants, and the houses in all the land of Egypt, and the houses in all the land of the Egyptians, things which thy fathers have never seen, nor their forefathers, from the day that they were upon the earth until this day. So all these things were new things under the sun. Right. Giving credence to what I said about King Solomon. When he says that all the things that had taken place took place before him. That's why that line is not in the Bible until he says it. Let's keep reading. Now we know that Solomon wasn't right because there's going to be new things that happen in the great day of tribulation. So obviously he clearly either didn't understand the end, or the prophets had not prophesied that much at that point. So therefore he could not understand that. Let's go ahead and keep it pushing. Where are we at? And Moses turned away and departed from Pharaoh. And the servants of Pharaoh say to him, how long shall this be a snare to us? Send away the men that they may serve their God. Wilt thou know that Egypt is destroyed? And they brought back Moses and Aaron to Pharaoh. And he said to them, go and serve the Lord your God. But who are they that are going with you? And Moses said, we will go with the young and the old, with our sons and daughters, and sheep and oxen, for it is a feast of the Lord. And he said to them, so let the Lord be with you, and I will send you away. Must I send away your store also? See that evil is attached to you. Oh my goodness. Not so, but let the men go and serve God, for this ye yourselves seek. And they cast them out from before the presence of Pharaoh. What it was trying to say just then was that y'all up to something. Why do y'all want to take everybody with you? You're up to no good. Okay, let's go ahead and keep reading. And the Lord said to Moses, stretch out thine hand over the land of Egypt, and let the locusts come upon the land, and it shall devour every herb of the land, and all the fruit of the trees which the hail left. And Moses lifted up his rod toward heaven, and the Lord brought a south wind upon the earth all that day and all that night, and the morning dawned, and the south wind brought up the locusts, and brought them over all the land of Egypt. And they rested in very great abundance over all the borders of Egypt. Before them were not such locusts, neither after them shall there be. And they covered the face of the earth, and the land was wasted. And they devoured all the herbage of the land, and all the fruit of the trees, which was left by the hail. And there was no green thing on the trees, nor all the herbage of the field, nor on all the herbage of the field in all the land of Egypt. So the locusts tore up everything. And Pharaoh hasted to call Moses and Aaron, saying, I have sinned before the Lord your God and against you. Pardon therefore my sin yet this time, and pray to the Lord your God, and let him take away from me this death. And Moses went away from Pharaoh and prayed to God. And the Lord brought in the opposite direction a strong wind from the sea, and took up the locusts and cast them into the Red Sea. And there was not one locust left in all the land of Egypt. Stop right there. This is deep. Now, for everybody who likes to say that the Most High God is not forgiving and he's not merciful and he doesn't give you a bunch of chances, how many chances has this individual Pharaoh got? And no, Pharaoh is not a Hebrew. So you don't have to be a Hebrew. You don't have to be a child of Israel to get forgiveness, right? Let alone to repent. You don't have to be that. You see what I'm saying? And when you have all these individuals who will try to contend that the Most High God does not show mercy, that he's unforgiving and all this other nonsense, it's like they truly have never read the Bible. They can't have. There's no way. I'm reading about this guy continuously sinning, not only against Moses and the people, but ultimately against the Most High God. And he keeps being forgiven. People can say, well, he did, the Most High God's forgiving him so that way he can eventually destroy Egypt or bring them, whatever you want to say. If the Most High God wasn't forgiving, he wouldn't even be going through that situation. He'd have killed everybody anyway. Let's stop. Why would he call Pharaoh and the Egyptians tyrants who practice tyranny over the people and then himself turn around and do something tyrannical? Makes absolutely no sense, does it? Let's keep reading. That's how I know my God. That's how I know my God is righteous. Okay? Right hand of God. Either hand works. It don't matter to me. Here we go. And the Lord brought up, no, whoa. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and he did not send away the children of Israel. And the Lord said to Moses, stretch out thy hand to heaven, and let there be darkness over the land of Egypt, darkness that may be felt. What? Darkness that may be felt. And Moses stretched out his hand to heaven, and there was darkness, very black. even a storm over all the land of Egypt 3 days. And for 3 days no man saw his brother, and no man rose up from his bed for 3 days. But all the children of Israel had light in all the places where they were. That would be so crazy. Can y'all imagine that? People like literally walking around and there's like spotlight on them. Anyway, it's just, oh my goodness. It's madness. It's maddening when you think about it. It's crazy, man. And Pharaoh called Moses and Aaron, saying, go serve the Lord your God. Only leave your sheep and your oxen, and let your store depart with you. And Moses said, nay, but thou shalt give to us whole burnt offerings and sacrifices, which we will sacrifice to the Lord our God. And our cattle shall go with us, and we will not leave a hoof behind. For of them we will take to serve the Lord God, the Lord our God. But we know not in what manner we shall serve the Lord our God until we arrive there. But the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and he would not let them go. And Pharaoh depart. And Pharaoh says, depart from me. Beware of seeing my face again. For in that day thou shalt appear before me, thou shalt die. And Moses says, thou hast said, I will not appear in thy presence. Thou hast said, I will not appear in thy presence again. And the Lord said to Moses, I will yet bring one more plague upon Pharaoh and upon all the Egyptians. And after that, he will send you forth thence. And whenever he sends you forth with everything, he will indeed drive you out. Speak therefore. This is chapter 11, verse 1, going on to verse 2. No, excuse me. Yeah, going on to verse 2. Speak therefore secretly in the ears of your neighbors. Speak therefore secretly in the ears of your people, and let everyone ask of his neighbor jewels of silver and gold and raiment. And the Lord gave his people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, and they lent to them. And the man Moses was very great before the Egyptians, and before Pharaoh, and before his servants. And Moses said these things, saith the Lord, about midnight I go forth into the midst of Egypt, and every firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sits upon the throne, even to the firstborn woman servant that is by the mill. Make sure that this is right. Yep, that is by the mill. And the firstborn and the firstborn of all cattle. And there shall be a great cry through all the land of Egypt. Such has not been, and such shall not be repeated anymore. Okay. But among the children of Israel shall not a dog snarl with his tongue, neither at man or beast, that thou mayest know how wide a distinction the Lord will make between the Egyptians and Israel. And all these thy servants shall come down to me and do me reverence, saying, go forth, thou and all the people over whom thou presidest. And afterwards I will go forth. And Moses went forth from Pharaoh with wrath. And the Lord said to Moses, Pharaoh will not hearken to you, that I may greatly multiply my signs and wonders in the land of Egypt. And Moses and Aaron wrought all these signs and wonders in the land of Egypt before Pharaoh. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and he did not hearken to send forth the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Verse 1, chapter 12. Chapter 12, verse 1, excuse me. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month shall be to you the beginning of months. It is the first to you among the months of the year. Speak to all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, on the 10th of this month, let Let them take each man a lamb according to his house, sheep, lamb, right? But it just depends on the translation. I'm just reading the symbol by the word. Let each let each man take a lamb according to the houses of their families, every man a lamb for his household. And if it be few in a household, so that there are not enough for the lamb, he shall take with himself his neighbor that lives near to him, as the numbers of souls, every one according to that which suffices him, shall make a reckoning for the lamb. It shall be to you a lamb unblemished, a male of a year old. Ye shall take it of the lambs and the kids. Stop right there. Who of y'all think that that lamb or that kid is anything other than a four-legged animal? Okay, let's keep reading. And it shall be kept by you until the 14th day of this month. And all the multitude of the congregation of the children of Israel shall kill it toward evening. And they shall take the blood and put it on the two doorposts, and put it on the two doorposts, and on the lintel, in the houses, in which soever they shall eat. And they shall eat the flesh in the night, roast with fire, and they shall eat unleavened bread with bitter herbs. Ye shall not eat of it raw, nor sodden in water, but only roast with fire. The head and the feet and the appurtenances, but it's really the appendages, but the appurtenances, which is the pieces like the legs and stuff like that. Nothing shall be left of it till the morning, and a bone of it ye shall not break, but that which is left of it till the morning ye shall burn with fire, and thus ye shall eat. Your loins girded, and your sandals on your feet, and your staves in your hands, ye shall eat it in haste. It is a Passover to the Lord. And I will go through the land of Egypt in that night, and smite every firstborn in the land of Egypt, man and beast. And on all the gods of Egypt I will execute vengeance. I am the Lord. And the blood shall be for a sign to you on the houses in which you are. And I will see the blood and will protect you. And there shall not be one on you the plague of destruction, when I smite the land of Egypt. And this day shall be to you a memorial, to keep it as a feast to the Lord through all your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast for a perpetual ordinance. Stop right there. Let's go ahead and break some of this down. So the Most High God is saying you need to take the blood of the animal that you kill, the lamb or the goat, and you need to put it on the two doorposts and then the lintel above. And it's, you can assume that that's actually in the house. Having said that, so that what? The Egyptians don't see that there's blood there, number one, right? Number two, so that way the being, whatever it is, whatever this frequency is operating in, you know, the spirit of death, we're going to say, spirit of destruction, it cannot pass this threshold because you and everyone in your household have partaken, and not only in eating of the meat of frequency, the eating of the unleavened bread of frequency, and the eating of the bitter herbs of frequency. And the blood is the ultimate frequency that keeps this thing out of the home. There was something, some sort of chemical or something was there in Egypt that killed all of those people. Give me one moment. 7 days ye shall not eat. 7 days ye shall eat unleavened bread. And from the first day you shall utterly remove leaven from your houses. Whosoever shall eat leaven, that soul shall be utterly destroyed from Israel, from the first day until the seventh day. And the first day shall be called holy. And the seventh day shall be a holy convocation, or called holy, shall be called a holy convocation to you. Ye shall do no servile work on them, only as many things as will necessarily be done by every soul. This only shall be done by you. And ye shall keep this commandment. For on this day I will bring out your forces. I will bring out your forces out of the land of Egypt, and ye shall make this day a perpetual ordinance for you throughout your generations. Beginning the 14th day of the first month, ye shall eat unleavened bread from evening to the 21st day of the month till evening. 7 days leaven shall not be found in your houses. Whosoever shall eat anything leaven, that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, both among the occupiers of the land and the original inhabitants. Now, if y'all didn't catch that, there are occupiers of the land in Egypt right now, and there are original inhabitants. And when they go to Canaan, it's going to be the same thing. They're going to be occupiers, and the people of the land are going to be original to the land. What is this so deep? Come on, man. Let's keep reading. Let's keep pushing. The difference between leavened and unleavened. Leavened bread is bread that rises. Unleavened bread is flat bread. Right. So no yeast, no kind of baking powder, no kind of bacon, none of that. You're going to eat for 7 days. No beer, nothing like that. Anything that has yeast in it, you're not supposed to drink. Anything, fermented with yeast, obviously, you don't eat it. So that means no anything with leaven, you don't eat it. Anything. So that means no cupcakes, none of that. Okay, no upside down cake, no pound cake, nothing. Ye shall eat nothing but Ye shall eat nothing leavened, but in every habitation of yours ye shall eat unleavened bread. And Moses called all the elders of the children of Israel and said to them, go away and take to yourselves a lamb according to your kindreds and slay the Passover, meaning literally to be passed over by the spirit of destruction, to be passed over by the spirit of death. And ye shall take a bunch of hyssop, which is a plant, and having dipped it in some blood that is by the door, ye shall touch the lintel and shall put it on both doorposts, even of the blood which is by the door. But ye shall not go out every one from the door of his house till the morning. Right. So the hyssop, once again, it's a plant, operates in a certain vibration or frequency. The spectra that is being achieved by the blood in the hyssop and by people eating this animal, eating the bitter herbs, eating the unleavened bread, there is something to this. There is a spectral and a frequency connection and significance to this, for sure. Where are we at? And the Lord shall pass by to smite the Egyptians, and shall see the blood upon the lintel and upon the doorpost, and the Lord shall pass by the door, and shall not suffer the destroyer to enter into your houses to smite you. And keep ye this thing as an ordinance for yourself and for your children forever. And if ye should enter into the land which the Lord shall give you, as he has spoken, keep this service. And it shall come to pass, if your sons say to you, what is this service? That ye shall say to them, this is this Passover is a sacrifice to the Lord, as he defended the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt when he smote the Egyptians, but delivered our houses. And the people bowed and worshiped, and the children of Israel departed and did as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron. So did they. And it came to pass at midnight that the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on the throne, to the firstborn of the captive maid in the dungeon, to the firstborn of all cattle. And Pharaoh rose up by night, and his servants, and all the Egyptians. And there was a great cry in all the land of Egypt, for there was not a house in which there was not one dead. And Pharaoh called, And Pharaoh called Moses and Aaron by night and said to them, rise and depart from my people, both ye and the children of Israel. Go and serve the Lord your God, even as ye say, and take with you your sheep and your oxen. Bless me also, I pray you. And the Egyptians constrained the people, so that they cast them out of the land with haste, for they said, we all shall die. And the people took their dough before the mill, or lumps of meal was leavened, and bound it up, as it was their garments on their shoulders, and bound it up as it was in their garments on their shoulders. And the children of Israel did as Moses commanded them, and asked of the Egyptians articles of silver and gold and apparel. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, and they lent to them, and they spoiled the Egyptians. And the children of Israel departed from Ramses to Succoth, the full number of them 600,000 footmen, even men besides the baggage. And a great mixed company went up with them, and sheep, and oxen, and very much cattle. And they baked the dough which they brought out of Egypt, unleavened cakes, for it had not been leavened. And the Egyptians cast them out, and they could not remain, neither did they prepare provision for themselves for the journey. And the sojourning of the children of Israel, while they sojourned in the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan, what? Listen to this. This is how you know that this is not talking about what Abraham went through or what he's seen. And the sojourning of the children of Israel, while they sojourned in the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan, and so meaning both Egypt and Canaan, was 430 years. So that means that the time before they went into Egypt, when they were in Canaan with just Israel, from the time that he was in Canaan to the time that they were in Egypt, was 430 years. This is how we know. This is how we know that this is not the prophecy spoken by the Most High God to or shown to Abraham in the vision that is explained to Moses in the book of the Genesis. Thank you very much. Now let's keep reading. And I'm about to cut it short here in a minute and be done, because I've been doing a lot of reading and I want to give myself a little break. No, I'm just keep reading, I guess, until I get tired of it. Or just get tired, literally. And it came to pass, after 430 years, all the forces of the Lord came forth out of the land of Egypt by night. It is a watch kept by the Lord. It is a watch kept to the Lord, so that he should bring them out of the land of Egypt. That very night is a watch kept to the Lord, so that it should be to all the children of Israel to their generations. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, this is the law of the Passover. No stranger shall eat of it. And every slave or servant bought with money, him shalt thou circumcise, then he shall eat of it. A sojourner or a hireling shall not eat of it. In one house shall it be eaten. Ye shall not carry off the flesh of it from the house, and a bone of it ye shall not break. All the children of Israel, all the congregation of the children of Israel shall keep it. And if any proselyte shall come to you to keep Passover to the Lord, thou shalt circumcise every male of him, and then shall he approach the sacrifice. And then shall he approach to sacrifice it. And he shall even be as the original inhabitant of the land. No uncircumcised person shall eat of it. There shall be one law to the native and to the proselyte coming among you. And the children of Israel did as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron. For them, so they did. And it came to pass in that day that the Lord brought out the children of Israel from the land of Egypt with their forces. I'm going to stop right there. We've been going for 2.5 hours, just about. It's a long time for anybody to sit there and listen to any one person talk and talk and talk and talk and try to break stuff down. What I'm going to do is 3 o'clock right now. I'm going to decide whether or not if I'm going to pick back up again later and do another probably 2 hour reading, and then we're going to go from there. But just right now, let's just go ahead and just go over what we read, right? And I'm just going to go from my mind. First, we're going to talk about, bam, the people are actually disregarded by the kings, or the that new pharaoh or the new king of Egypt. He's like, I don't even know who Joseph is. Forget that nigga. Then they seek to enslave the people in ways in which they had never been enslaved in the land. Then, on top of all that, they tried to make life extra, extra, extra hard for them. Once Moses came back, let me go ahead and make that clear. When Moses came back, life got hard on him. But Moses is a true Levite because the children of Levi are zealots. They are hot-blooded individuals. Now, why I think it's important to point out that Reuben, Simeon, and Levi are they are the representatives of the people by and large speaking to Pharaoh. It's most important to point out the fact that the Levites are the actual driving force behind it. And so when we, as we obviously we read about the different plagues and the different this and the different that, all those things take place within a certain bind of frequency and spectra. I've explained frequency and spectra a lot of my old videos. You guys are going to have to go visit stuff from literally 5 and 6 years ago. You know what I mean? To get that understanding. And there's going to be things that if you listen to those videos that I say that I don't say anymore because I've learned better. So the more I learn, the more I would tailor my message to understanding that I may have been in error before or just was not completely all the way right, whichever way you want to say it. We read, I read, y'all got to hear me speak it and say it. First off, the children of Israel are considered the Most High God's firstborn. So there is no people that were chosen. There are no other chosen people. That's not the case. Right. When you talk about the future prophecies and it speaks on the Egyptians and the Assyrians and Israel, right? Okay, you have to recognize the Egyptians are the reasons why the Israelites even became a nation, because they actually became a people in that nation. Then you have to recognize right now until this day, some of our very people are amongst the Assyrians, whoever they truly really are. The Assyrians are a natural warrior class people. So the Most High God is simply rewarding individuals for the different things that they've done. And the Assyrians are Hebrews. Yes, they are. Oh, okay. What else do we need to talk about? We talk about the fact that the Most High God told Moses to tell Pharaoh, we're going to kill your firstborn. Right. At the very beginning, they let this dude know. He didn't want to hear that. He didn't want to listen to that. He bypassed that, whatever you want to say. He got what he had coming to him. This is the truth. That much also being said, we have to look at the fact that when people try to tell you about something in the Bible, if they've never read it or they've never taken the time to actually research it to come to their own understanding, not what someone else told them, it makes it to where, like, let's say, like when people say that the God of the Old Testament doesn't forgive. This is a common trope and misinformation tactic you hear people use all the time. Pastors have used this stance to say that the God of the Old Testament is not the God of the New Testament. Right. Brother Scribe had many videos explaining this thing. Why that is such an important factor, why that is related to us. Well, if you have individuals going around saying that the creator of heaven and earth doesn't forgive anybody and he's totally going to kill you no matter what you do. So even if you do repent, it doesn't matter, right? Then that drives people away from wanting to repent. Right. Okay, then. See, why would the Messiah, think about this? The Messiah said he didn't want the wicked to repent. He didn't want them to repent lest they be forgiven of their sins. Right on? Right. He didn't want them to repent. Want to know why? Because it makes sense. Because the people that were actually supposed to have a chance never had a chance. So why would I want individuals who are not the people? You're not a native to a land. If you are an occupier, you're not a native to the land. So at best, all you could ever hope to be is a proselyte. But how could you call yourself a proselyte of the Most High God's laws through Moses and not recognize that the people that are indentured, right on, the people that are enslaved in certain lands are his people? How could you not do right by them? See, this is why I say the things that I say all the time. Like, they don't know the story, y'all. They really don't know the story. I might not have everything memorized, but I know the story and I understand it to the function and to the degree that, like I said, I know that the creator of heaven and earth is not unforgiving. Pharaoh continuously sinned against the people. He sinned against his own self, if you want to argue that case, but he continually sinned against the people, continually sinned against Moses and Aaron, and consequently, he was sinning against the Most High God. Right on? In sequence. Right. Was he struck down and killed the first time that he didn't listen? Did, Pharaoh brings his own self to destruction. Do y'all understand that? Right. Nothing that Moses did brought this dude to destruction. No thing Moses did brought him to destruction. Pharaoh had a choice and he made whatever choices that he made. This book would be written differently if people made different choices. And there might not be a book at all if people had made the right choices. That's the part. There might not be a book of Enoch if people make the right choices. Right. We are literally living in it. And this is my point to y'all. It told us 430 years, and not just Egypt, but Canaan also. So we know that this is not the time that was told to Abraham when he has the dream vision, right? When he has the, I want to say a ram and was it a ram and a lamb and something else? I know for sure there's a ram and one other animal. It might be a heifer or a calf, but still, he goes through this whole, once again, that's all frequency stuff right there too. There's so much going on that if people don't say, okay, well, if you really believe that the Israelis are truly the children of Israel, show me a time in their known history where they don't know who they are, where they didn't know that they were so-called Jews. Because every movie you watch, even movies in the medieval time, they all know that they're Jews. Right. But how could you be the people, but his people are destroyed because of a lack of knowledge? Right. So folks who do not fit that physical descript, right? And then also, with that being said, the distinction that had to be established between Israel and between the Egyptians. This is another thing that we have to look at. Okay, this goes back to when Joseph's brothers first came to Egypt and they couldn't distinguish him from the Egyptians. Right. But the Egyptians know just enough of who the true children of Israel are and because like I said, there's a servitile class of Egyptians that were enslaved or offered their services during the days of Joseph. That can't be overlooked. That great mixed multitude, who do you think they were? Huh? But folks who have blood mixed so much that they're no longer truly an Egyptian or truly a child of Israel. You guys are I won't say a perfect mix, but you've mixed so much that this is an actual mixture. This is its own thing. Right. The mixed multitude. As I get ready to head out, y'all, man, I just want y'all to know that it's not because I want to be right that I do these things. It's because I love the Most High God and I love His people. I love my people with all my heart and all my soul. Everything that I got, I love y'all, man. I really do. There's nothing greater or better than being able to sit down and just read the scripture to you. Even if I know that everybody doesn't agree with it or doesn't understand what's being said to them, I can accept that and I understand that. You know what I'm saying? And I live with that. But I know for a fact that there's something that someone may be able to take from this and apply it to their life, or just see how I read the information and say, okay, when he read that, what did he perceive when he said, okay, oh wow, they were there for four. I mean, I've been saying for a long time the thing about 430 years, but I seldomly bring it up, and I brought it up today, and I got to that point. I got to that point and that part on purpose, so that way I could show you guys, hey, look, they were here for this amount of time. The Most High God told Abraham 400 years, not 430. The only place that we've been for all, right, they'll tell you we've been here for more than 400 years. Right now, where I live, it is 3:32 Pacific Standard Time. In no more than 2 hours, the sun is going to be all the way done, dead, and gone for the day. Right. So in 2 hours, it's going to be officially night. Even though people don't consider 5:30 p.m. or 6 p.m. nighttime, if there's no longer any light out, it's the dark. I can't stress this enough. What I'm trying to say politely is that we still haven't been in America for 400 years. When you get to that level of acceptance, you will then see why it is that I'm only worried about these 5 books, because you have to listen to me. Your chances at salvation hinge on your ability to follow the laws of Moses to the best of your ability. Did Jesus not say, if you love me, keep my commandments? Even he said that. So even if you go to the New Testament, the main protagonist, the hero of the New Testament, he tells you to keep the commandments in plain English. Oh, the translated and transliterated, but plain language, straight up. He says to keep the commandments. So your only way to salvation is to keep the commandments. I have to reread them again to the people, so that way everyone can understand the difference in some of these commands, and the ones that you can readily apply to your life and the ones that you can't. You can keep the Passover. Yes, you can. You don't have to have leavened bread in your home. You don't have to have leaven in your home. You can keep the Passover. Right. You can eat tortillas or pita bread or falafel for 7 days. Yes, you can. You see what I'm saying? Right. I, I believe in you. Even if you don't believe in yourself, I believe in you. I I know it's difficult. I get that. But I'm telling you, I'm not saying that you need to keep the Passover, but I'm saying the one thing that the Most High God wants the people to do, that people actually have the ability to do that in this land. And they choose not to do that. Like I said, how can a people be saved if they don't think they need any help? If they think they can save themselves, who is going to save them? You know, one of the biggest issues I have with, a whole lot of these guys talking about, oh, our heroes taught us this and our heroes taught us that. Your heroes taught you how to hang yourself with a rope that someone else gave to you. You will not be, I will not be the hero in our narrative, for my narrative, for your narrative. We will not be the heroes. It will be the Most High God being the hero in the narrative. Do y'all understand that? Like, he's the hero in this narrative. Moses is not the hero. Aaron is not the hero. Okay? The Most High God is the hero. That's what I'm trying to say to y'all. You can't save yourself. If you could save yourself, you would have already done it already. So what? Black people invented all these things, but they couldn't save themselves? Are you fucking serious? Stop playing. Don't play yourself like that. Think about it. You don't stand a chance. I don't stand a chance trying to fight this machine. It's an evil, wicked system. that is powered by the blood of people who look just like this. And the moment that my people decide that, you know what, we're done, this is when this shit goes down. See how they treat you if you walk away from it all. I've done it several times. They hate you when you walk away from it all. I understand you have to make a living. You have to continue to provide for your families and for yourself. I understand that. I get that. All I'm saying is when you realize that there is no brighter day in Babylon, there is nothing, there is nothing to look forward to. Nothing. You will realize that your only way out of this is to continuously pray that the end come today, not tomorrow. That should be the only prayer that you worry about, is that he come back and he rescue those that are worth rescuing and saving, and all the rest of them be sent to burn in hell. I pray that I'm not going to get sent to hell. For my people to have a chance at salvation, I'm willing to lose all what little bit it is that I have that's worth losing. My soul and my salvation were never mine to begin with. They're not mine. They don't belong to me. I don't, I, even though the soul is in this vessel, it leaves once the vessel is gone. The spirit leaves too. Right. My salvation, if there's any for me, is not for me to determine for myself. It is for the Most High God to determine that based on the judgment of my heart, my actions, and who I am as a person. I'm just trying to say it to y'all so that way you guys don't go out here thinking crazy stuff. If you really believe you can save yourself, then show me how it's done. Show me how it's done. Show me how it's done. But the most meek man, while he yet lived, and I'm not talking about Moses, I'm talking about Dr. King, had his whole head blown off. Not trying to save himself, but trying to get the same devils that people are saying that they're going to make give them reparations. This man tried to get them to see the ill of their ways, the error in their ways, the evil that is permeating in their very, very core, in the depths of their flesh and their spirits, if they have them, because you know they don't got no souls. Right. They took his whole head off. And so for anyone to try to tell me that they can save themselves when he couldn't save himself, if you shoot back, you're going to get killed eventually. That's how that works. Or we'll chase you off into obscurity. Right. Right. Did they not go see bin Laden and tear his ass up? Okay, then did they not go see Saddam Hussein and tear his ass up? These are cats who live in way different countries, way different places. You live in a land that they claim that is theirs. What can you really do but put your families and everybody that you love at risk being a damn fool? Brothers and sisters, I salute you. I say to you like this. When we come back either later today, sometime we're going to finish up the Exodus within 2 days, 3 days maximum. By Monday, we're going to be done with the Exodus. I'm reading it all over again. I have to read all the books all over again, and I might have to go back and read the Genesis to y'all all over again because I just did that overview. This is what I should have done. I should have taken my time to do it right. I'm doing it right now, so it's okay. I'll go back and I'll correct the error in my ways, the error in my ways. Right. If there had been, if it be evil or something evil that I have done by not doing that, then for me to correct the evil. I am not too good to say to anybody that I do wrong or that I know that I've done wrong. The people that you should not trust are the individuals who cannot say that. If a man cannot say I am wrong and I have done wrong, he's not to be trusted. Ever at all. Brothers and sisters, I salute you again. May tomorrow be better than today. And may next week surpass this last one. May you become blessed and may your eyes continue to be opened And may the hard decisions become easy. And may the easy decisions become actions. Come on. Till next time.